Hello and welcome to today's video. My name is Annemona Grisan, and for all of you who don't know me, I'm a visual artist based in Vienna, in Austria. And in this video series, I'm talking about my works on the topic of light and transformation. In today's video, I'm going to proceed with the idea of the light carriers and light bringers, the Lucifers. Lucifer literally means light carrier or light bringer, if you like. So the inner light, the inner fire is something that I showed you in the last video, so please go and revisit or watch those if you haven't done it yet. In the last one, you talked about the Lucifer, the light bringer who is working with their own inner fire and creating themselves out of this inner fire. I showed you different qualities of this kind of process, how to form and create from this fire. And in today's video, I want to go on with this exploration and show you light alchemists. This idea of these light carriers who now come together to co-create as two poles of one thing, to co-create a third light. And how this looks like, what does that mean? How can this co-creation, what qualities can this co-creation have, and so forth. So before I show you these three works, I want to invite you to have a look for yourself. And as usual, to make up your own mind and find your own approach to these works. And after that, I will tell you more about my perspective and what I'm expressing and what I've been learning through painting these artworks. See you then. So the first work I want to show you today is this one. It's entitled Light Alchemists. And as usual, you can see two figures in a very depicted in a very abstract manner. Most of the time you can make them out by looking for the earlobes, which are here and there. So this is one head, and there's the other head. And then we have the shoulders here. So these figures are forming out of these energetic lines of this, ribbons, or maybe just moving energy lines, it's reminding us maybe also of something that is cosmic, that is forming itself, that is information, like a planet maybe. So there is this micro and macrocosm idea again. So we don't have a scale for that. It could be like as big as the universe, as big as a galaxy, but also as small as a human being. So we don't know if these creators, these light creators, are our size or maybe the size of whatever creator, huge creator. So it's not about either or, it's about both, right? So the idea is that these two are co-creating something, this light in the center. And so you can see one figure here. Here's the head and the ear. And this is something like a shoulder. And on the other side, the same. So they are mirroring each other. And these two structures here are like arms coming together. And they are, in a way, either protecting, it's not either or, it's they're protecting this fire, they are creating this fire, And they're also nourished by this fire in a way, because they are using these lines here, these structures, like a cord, to maybe nourish themselves as well from this central fire, glow, warm light, energy, life force, whatever. So they are not only creators, but they're also the created. So they're creating themselves. They're creating this light together, and also are nourished by this light. So there is a multi-layered, there are multi-layered topics in this painting, and it's also about the idea of creation itself, that we are creators, and that this inner fire we are creating ourselves, and also taking care of ourselves is also the fire that is nourishing us. So there is this kind of self-creation in a way that is going on within us, and now between these two. And it's interesting that when you have two parts, two individuals, two sides, male, female, so if you have polarity coming together, there is a third thing that, or maybe a third state that is created out of this encounter, and this third state is more than the sum of its parts. It's like 1, 1, and 3. So we have two sides coming together as individuals and creating a new whole, basically. This is also can be seen in this circular form here that is interrupted, but in a way is alluding to this third state that is created out of this encounter. All right, so then let's move to the next artwork. So this is the second work I want to show you on the topic of light alchemists, the light builders, the light creators. And as you can see, this is a large-sized work. It's a painting with ink on canvas again. And in this work as well, you can see two very abstract figures facing each other. In this work, they are depicted from above, from here. So you can see the head shape and also the nose here. So when you look at the head from the top, this is a view seen from the top into the depth of this tunnel of light. So you see one figure here with the nose and the forehead. And also the shoulders can be seen here with arms outgrowing to this side and to the other side. This is the back. And on the other side you can see the other figure, the head again, and the nose, and the arms. And both are reaching out to each other, and through that they create this tunnel. They create this light as well. They are reaching out and touching each other, so there is this kind of connection, but there is also this reaching into this light. So again, we have this idea of the two coming together, the two individuals coming together, and through their encounter and their embrace, maybe you can say, they're creating this vortex, this tunnel, and this light in the center. but they're also at the same time fed by this light. So there is this constant creation and also nourishment from the created light. So actually, the light creates them as well. So it's not clear. Actually, it's a mutual creation. The two create the light, and the light again creates the two. So it's interesting that this depicts actually the creation process itself, different stages maybe of creation, where you have at the beginning you have the light force, the energy, pure heat maybe. So you can think of something like a planet or a sun, right, before it's cooling down and really finding its shape. You can also see that as the nucleus of an atom or something like that. So there is a force where all of matter is starting from, and now this energy is actually starting to find a form. This is something we discussed. I told you more about this in previous videos in the video series Light and Darkness, Light Shadow, where I showed you the black and white works and how these works are about the creation process from pure light and darkness, energy into matter. So this is a similar process here. We have this light that starts to turn into matter slowly. You can think of planets, as I say, you can think of a galaxy, and then it becomes denser and denser and starts to take shape. And here in these areas we can think of something like energy lines, but also something like plants or a forest, or a thicket or something like that. And all these things then turn into a human shape, and this human shape then again turns back and into this potential, into this plant form maybe, or it also reminds me of something like these sea animals, anemones, right? My name. So there is this creation process. This is what I want to say. There is this creation process from the formlessness of pure energy into the matter, and then back to this energy form. And this is the constant process. We could also think of it like an infinity loop as well. I'm depicting the idea of the creation process being something that is happening in layers. It's energy, pure energy, but then it's also becoming something like a mineral. It also is a plant or an animal, and it can also be the human shape. It can also be a planet, so we have this micro and macrocosm idea again, because we cannot say how big this actually is. This could be a universe, this could be a galaxy, but this could also be something very small or human-sized. So there is this idea of the creation process or the materialization process going through all these layers, and there is this correspondence between our shape as humans and animals and plants, minerals, and then the pure energy where all this is starting from. And at the same time, we are also, this painting also tells the story of this creation process being the light being created by these forms, by this matter. So it's from the energy to the matter, and from the matter back to the energy. So there is this constant loop or feeding system or system of exchange from creation, from formlessness into form and back into formlessness, and reforming itself into something else. Like a breath, inspiration and expiration. Inspiration, in breath, out breath. All right. So then let's have a look at the last painting in today's video. So this is the last work in today's video on the topic of light alchemists and light creators. And you can already see the two poles here and here. And maybe on the first side you might think of these energy lines as being something like the magnetic field of the earth or something like that. You might also be able to see the two figures that are beneath these energy lines. The one is here, here's the head, and here's a part of the nose, again depicted from the top. And here are two arms. Here's the other figure with the head and the nose, and also this one is spreading its arms to the side. And both are emanating these lines that remind us of energy lines. Maybe these are their thoughts, or something like an energy body or energy, I don't know, cords, something like that. And they're coming up out of their head or maybe their neck. So it could be something related to their thoughts or emotions or something like that, and they're coming out and going to this center here, to this core, to this glowing core. But they're also meeting each other outside of this glowing center, and they're reaching to each other. So there is this third state that they're co-creating, this circle, but there is also this light in the center. And again we have this two-way interpretation that is equally valid, that these two individuals are creating the light through their encounter, but they are also created by the light, or nourished by the light. So we can see that these elements here, they're extensions that look like plants maybe, or again like a magnetic field, energy lines, or maybe something like, like an animal with tentacles, like a sea anemone. The scale is unknown. Is this something that is cosmic? Is this a universe? Is this a planet? Is this two people meeting each other? So are we basically in human size? Is this a human-sized space? Is this something that is actually non-human, but rather something more animal, more plant-like? Is this something geological? So we see many layers depicted at the same time. So this creation process is not only a creation process that is going from this light into form, nourishing the matter. So here it's formless, it's just potential, pure fire, pure energy, and then it starts to take shape and become these energy lines that then turn into the human shape. But there is also the other way round, the human shape that turns into these energy lines, or plant-like lines, or animal-like lines, and then going into this fire, creating this fire, co-creating this fire through the two poles coming together. So this painting is depicting the process of creation, the process of the creation from the light into the matter, and from matter back into the light. And it's also not only about the creation process and the physical matter, but it is about consciousness as well. Because of course the human being is conscious, and the human being in a way would be the last creation from this fire, and it is also able to create the fire because it knows how. The fire, of course, is a very important element for us humans in terms of survival, in terms of our development as humans, because this is a stage in our evolution that is very important. Once we learn to make fire and work with the fire, a lot of things started to we started to develop a lot of things in terms of tools, in terms of culture, in terms of art. So there is this very important role, symbolic but also evolutionary role of fire in our human evolution. And of course, the human being, being the conscious one, the conscious element that understands what the fire is in terms of physical effects. It can burn, you can burn yourself, you can burn something else, it can destroy things, but it can also be used, is one layer of this work. But it's also about this light going, or this creative light, the light of creation, you could say, this fire is descending or going into matter, and it's becoming more and more conscious in a way. So it's starting as a light, and then it goes through this geological mineral stage, then it turns into the plant stage, animal stage, and finally into the human stage. So there is this process of becoming conscious or becoming alive as well. So the question is, what is consciousness and what is life? Is life only the biological life we know in terms of animals, plants, and humans? Or is life also the mineral kingdom, for example? Maybe the planet is also alive as a mineral being. Maybe stones and crystals are also alive, but their metabolic system or their life force or the way of being alive is just not perceivable for us, not yet perceivable for us in terms of our definitions what life is. But in this work, I'm actually working out that everything is alive because it is made from the life force energy. And this life force energy can move into form. Form therefore is alive, form meaning matter, and matter then can also be conscious. We are conscious matter as humans, for example. So there is the question where consciousness starts. Maybe it's there from the very beginning, because if this fire has the force and the possibility to turn into consciousness, into human form that has consciousness, then it may be conscious from the very beginning, right? So this process is not only a physical process, not only a process of materialization, physical materialization, but it's also a thought process. It's a process of thinking, being conscious, and using the life force to create something with intention. So there needs to be an intention, a pattern, something, so that the matter can find its shape, after all. Big concepts here, so I will leave it there for today's video. I will come back to the idea of consciousness, life force, and this very, very interesting dynamics. Where does consciousness begin and where does it end? I will talk about this more in future videos, but I want to thank you for staying with me until the end today. Please like and share the video, subscribe to my channel, and we will see each other in a future video on the topic of light and transformation. And until then, thank you for watching and take care. Bye bye.